Hello and welcome to our webinar on our Medicine Pathway program. My name is Nerily Duffy and I'm joined here by Padraig Rinn, our University Placement Manager. So today we're going to talk about the Medicine Pathway program offered by DIFC and hopefully answer some of your questions along the way. So there is a chat facility on the GoToMeeting control panel. So if you have any questions throughout the webinar, just feel free to type them into the message box and we'll hope to get to them either during the webinar or at the end. So at the moment, you may be feeling a little bit overwhelmed about your study options, whether you're unsure of your study options, scrolling through countless websites, unsure of where you want to actually study. And that's quite normal. The decision to study abroad, and more importantly, studying medicine, is a huge decision to make, not only because of the financial commitment, but also the time commitment that you'll put into pursuing this dream. That's why it's best to have a good understanding of what your options will be before you take the leap and make that final decision. And that's being confident in the pathway that you've chosen, that the pathway will support you in pursuit of that dream. This is exactly what DIFC offer, and we'll tell you a little bit more about this during the webinar. So why would you choose the International Foundation Year pathway with DIFC? Realistically, this is the best route for medicine, and particularly for studying medicine in Ireland, the UK and mainland Europe. It's well recognised. We delivered the NCUK International Foundation Year program, which is externally validated, accredited and quality assured. It's also a fast track option compared to doing the 2-year A-level program. So we have two different intakes, September and January, and they would be a 9-month or a 7-month intensive program for you. In addition to that, we're partnered with 8 medical universities for medicine, and our wide university partner network for other medical-related degrees such as pharmacy, nursing, physiotherapy and allied health degrees. The program covers everything you would on A-levels, but in a more intensive and supportive environment than the A-level environment. And it focuses on the whole package, your academic knowledge, but also skills and competence, so that when you graduate from the International Foundation Year, you graduate as a confident, independent student. And it bridges the gap between your local high school qualification and university admission. So in terms of what the course content will cover, there's 4 examinable subjects in the International Foundation Year. These are English for academic purposes, mathematics, chemistry and biology. And they build on your knowledge step by step from basic level to ASA level. In support of these examinable subjects, there are 2 support subjects. These are ICT and English for specific academic purpose. These modules act as more skills-related subjects to help you develop the relevant skills needed for studying at university. In addition to that, we also offer pastoral care, which is study skills development, personal development, and university placement support, which we'll touch on again later. This is just one of our past students who's now studying at the Royal College of Surgeons. What was important to him through the program was not only the academic focus, but the development of the necessary skills that he's now utilising in his university studies. And that's things such as critical thinking, problem solving, and time management, organisational skills. So just on those skills, we look at technical skills such as laboratory skills, ICT, as I mentioned, presentation skills and communication skills. But we also look at more softer skills such as teamwork, organisation and time management, study skills, and problem solving and critical thinking skills. This is where the key difference lies between A-levels and many other foundation programs. The DIFC pathway really provides a holistic approach to not only support students in achieving academically, but also to equip them with the vital skills they'll need not only for their medicine degree, but for their future career as a doctor. So in terms of the laboratory practicals, we offer a full week of biology and chemistry labs, and these are carried out in one of our partner universities in Dublin, in state-of-the-art laboratories. What this does is help students to apply the theory that they've learned in the classroom in a practical setting. It also reinforces their teamwork skills, health science knowledge, and behaviour, professional behaviour in a laboratory setting, and contributes to their lab report writing assessment. So we really connect the theory to practice for the science students.
So thanks for that, Mary. This is Porrick speaking with you, and I'm going to talk to you about support within the foundation programme, but then progress on to our partners, progress on to medical partners, entry requirements, etc. So when you look at the support within the programme, one aspect that we're very happy about and proud of is the quality of our teaching staff. Most of our staff, firstly, will be qualified to a master's, some PhD. All of our teaching staff will also have English language qualifications, which is to help support them teach foundation students. Outside of that, most of our teaching staff will have third level experience, secondary level experience, which is high school. So it's a broad spectrum of teaching experience they'll have. Then looking at a key aspect that we feel is very important then is the extensive support you get in university applications. Part of that will see you as a student or one of your students getting access to a tutor. That tutor's role then is support them, which sees the programme being very student-centred. Your students are going to be working with a caring team which connects student services support. So what we try and do is have a very holistic approach which is result-focused, where performance is regularly monitored throughout the year. And that will be achieved through interaction with your tutor, but that's also connected then to the assessments and feedback from your teacher, but that's also then connected to your program manager who manages the program delivery for you. A benefit of the foundation that we also find is the range of teaching methodologies we do, which is connected to different learning styles. So one learning style that Nerdy would have mentioned is the fact that you're going to be writing reports. Some of you are better than that. Others will be much more focused on the idea of exams, but we don't believe exams is sufficient. There is a key aspect of the programme which is continuous assessment. So your exam structure will consist of 70% exams and 30% assignments, continuous assessments. And I think that's very important because that is connected to how a university programme is delivered. When you progress onto university, it's not just exam focused. There'll be a huge part of the programme continuous assessment, and especially as a medical student, you'll find yourself doing usually weekly, if not monthly, continuous assessment for various subjects you're being studying. We use a range of different teaching tools throughout the programme. Some will be online through a Moodle platform. Some will be teamwork, different interaction in the classroom. I think the best person to share that experience would be one of our students. You'll hear from in the next while. Key aspect then in terms of support is we believe in class sizes need to stay small. When you look at an A-levels class, you can have up to 50 to 100 students in some classes. For us, we keep classes small, which will see you being in a class of no more than 30 students. We do try and restrict that to 15 where we can. Then when you've got your tutorial, which is connected to placement, but also connected to your feedback and your performance, you will be in a class of no more than 15 students. And again, continuous feedback to you on your performance is very important. And that feedback will come through your individual tutorials where you'll meet with your tutor, usually every fortnight, where he or she will give you feedback on your performance of the programme. That could be to do with an issue with your attendance. It could be a problem with one of your assignments. But that feedback is connected to your performance. So that's just give you an overview of the support. So you can see I've covered most of those points in terms of examination and assessment. When we look at the qualification and the programme delivery, a key aspect of programme is midterm tests. And within the midterm test, this is called formative assessment. And within formative assessment, this is designed to see where you are in the programme, but it's also designed that you're going to get some grades towards your final foundation. So formative assessment usually accounts for 10% of the final exam grade. But what we like about the formative assessment is that it gives you the experience of what it's like to be sitting in a final exam at foundation, what's ahead of you. But it's also helped to give you a benchmark where you are in foundation. What more do you need to do to become better? But on top of the formative assessment, we also have coursework. And coursework is a very critical part of the program, which is essays, lab work, maths assignments, but you'll also have assignments in other subjects as well. And all of this is interconnected then to the end of semester exams, which is connected to your midterm and your coursework. End of semester exams is a key aspect, again, for your performance. And usually that happens probably 4 months into the program. If you are a September student, you'll find yourself doing end of semester exams in January, where if you're a January student, you'll find yourself doing the end of semester exams probably before Easter. And as I said, that is connected to the midterm formative assessment, which all impacts then on your performance. And from that, then you'll progress onto your final exams. And usually that takes place in May for intake 1. Then for January students who are intake 2, it'll take place usually in late June. So where to next? So really when you start looking at your performance in the foundation program, which is connected to what we've covered in terms of choosing a university, most students who come onto foundation will have one objective, which is to progress onto the Royal College of Surgeons or onto Uclan. But we say to all students, you need to have an array of opportunities. And some students will also come with budgets. Some will be looking to spend €15,000 a year on tuition fees. So taking that into account, what we've tried to offer our students through the medical pathway is a variety of partners, both in Ireland, the UK, progression into the US, and also progression onto European partners. So when you start looking at our partners, every partner we work with sets foundation entry requirements. So the key message we want for you to understand is that using the foundation will give you a pathway into medicine. When you start looking at an A-level qualification, it doesn't give you that option. It opens up applications for you to a wealth of universities, but it doesn't mean you're going to get a seat. Working through our partner network, which some of you may say, well, that's only 9 partners, but those 9 are partners we know we can place you into medicine, subject to the grades you get in the foundation. So to look at what we mean by that is each university has specific grade requirements to be achieved in foundation. So the highest would be RCSI Dublin. Normally they would look for all A stars, which means you are looking at getting average grades of 90% in your content subjects. On top of that, they have a shortlisting process, which is an online interview. So every partner, as you can see, from RCSI Penang, St. George's in London, Uclan, St. George's Grenada, to our European partners, each have specific requirements for the foundation, but then also have a shortlisting process. And the benefit of the foundation is that for each of those applications, we support you and we outline what you need to do to gain your entry with that specific university. So a simple example is look at Uclan. Uclan require AAB in your content subjects, but that's not just all. They also require you to have work experience. They review your performance on the foundation, which goes back to my original point about end of semester exams, the formative assessment. They ask for a viewpoint of how you're doing. If they feel you're on track, they will then call you for what's called a multi-mini interview. But we support all of that application process with you. And throughout the year, we have specific deadlines on the placement calendar, which support you in the application. If you take the European partners, most European partners will ask you to sit an entrance exam. You don't need to go to that country to do that exam. We bring them to Dublin for you to meet with them. If you're a student in our Cork Centre, the same is that you're brought up to Dublin to meet with the partners. And then another example is European Cyprus. They will look for what's called a personal statement. So each partner has a specific requirement for shortlisting and also your foundation grades. So if you did not get all A's in your final foundation, the beauty of this is that you have a backup secured through the placement process. No other provider that we know of offers that type of support. And that's a unique feature of our pathways. We are able to secure you an offer into medicine if you work through the placement process. It may not be your first choice, but you will secure an offer. So these are just some of our examples that we're going to go through of the advantages and disadvantages of our partners. So, of course, many of you would know of the Royal College of Surgeons. It's ranked top 250 in the world. They have very modern curriculum, advanced clinical training. Again, you'll hear more about that later on. I guess one of the advantages is that they have clinical training begins very early on in the first teaching, I should say, very early on the first semester. The other advantage is that a lot of the material is delivered by physicians who have already hands-on experience. Year 5 and 6 year program will be delivered in a Dublin-based hospital. RCSI also gets the opportunity to sit the USMLA exams, Canadian board exams for medicine. The qualification is recognised internationally, and the standards is very high. But on top of the Royal College of Surgeons Ireland, we have the alternative option, which is looking at the Pennine Pathway. What we are finding with RCSI Dublin is that fees are very high, and some students do feel, I'm not sure if I can afford those fees. The other point about RCSI Dublin is the entry requirements are very, very high, and getting A stars is tough. Students every year do get it and get placed, but if RCSI is really your preferred choice, then you should look at our partner, which is Pennine. We call it the PMC pathway. And one of the advantages of this pathway is that firstly, the fees are better value. Entry requirements are a little bit lower, normally 2 A's and a B. But the other advantage of this program is that you do your clinical training in Malaysia. And the clinical training that you do get in Malaysia is more hands-on, potentially compared to the Dublin hospitals, because in Malaysia you will be presented with a variation of diagnostics and cases from early to mid to late stage. And it does give you better hands-on experience. But the other advantage of the PMC program is that the preclinical training you do, be it a Dublin or an RCSI student, is exactly the same. And at the end of the day, when you exit with your qualification, you exit with the same qualification as an RCSI Dublin student. So we really say to our students who are looking at RCSI, take the advantage of the PMC pathway. It's a huge opportunity. Then our other partners will be Uclan. And one of the advantages of Uclan is that it's a 5-year program compared to a 6-year program. And some students like that idea because of when they're looking at tuition fees. So when you look at tuition fees with Uclan, you're talking about $42,000 a year. But the real selling point we find about Uclan is the curriculum is very much designed in local partnership with patients, but also by talking to NHS, which is the National Health Service in the UK. And the program has one other advantage, is numbers. They cap numbers into the program. Probably this year could be 80, maybe a little bit more. If you take the Royal College of Surgeons, it can go up to 150, if not higher. When you look at the content of the program, which is taught over the 5 years, the first 2 years really is university-based, where you are in the university attending lectures. But then the last 3 to 5 years, you will have hospital-based experience. But year 1, year 2, you'll have exposure there as well. This program really has focused on international students. It focuses on the fact that you're deemed international, but if there is opportunities in the UK for employment when you exit. In the NHS, they're continuously looking for doctors. The other selling point, I guess, for Uclan is that it is small class sizes, and it does give attention to detail. And the feedback we're getting from their students, they do find that really helpful, being in smaller classes. You're interacting with patients very early on in your program. During your first year, you will actually have some hospital placement. And there's a key focus about the patients, and that's very evident from our own experience in shortlisting of students. Before you're shortlisted for your multi-minute interview, they want to ascertain what you are like as a doctor, your experience of dealing with people in life, be it voluntary work, be it work shadowing, and that shows that the patient is a primary focus on why you should be a good doctor. Apart from that, very high standard as well. Some people ask about the question mark about General Medical Council. At the moment, they're under what's called quality assurance, which is provided general medical counsel. The qualification will be validated and approved. There's nothing to worry about there. St. George's, this is a new partner, and we realised we should bring on a US partner because the feedback we've been getting from some of our agent network and from students is they would like to have the idea of the US. So in discussions last year with our partner in the UK, but we sounded out some options, and St. George's we found in Grenada was an ideal pathway. Firstly, by its location, which nobody can fault, but secondly, the program is very focused on education, strong emphasis on communicating with the patients and range of backgrounds that you will meet at the hospital, at the institution. The other advantage of looking at St. George's and the University of Grenada is the opportunities open to clinical experience. When you're doing your clinical training, students are offered the option of doing clinical training in the US, the UK, or other affiliate hospitals. If you can find a hospital in your local country, they may be able to support you with that. There is a staged process for entry, but through us, the entry is quite streamlined. Applications will be managed through DIFC. You have to write a strong personal statement. And again, subject to performance of the foundation, you can secure an offer. Another question we do get asked about is visa support. Is there an issue with visas to the US? The feedback we've got is no. Once you tick all the boxes as required, you should not have an issue securing your visa to progress on to St. George's in Grenada. So the first three we've talked about, really, or four I should say, are what we class as high fee institutions. So you're looking at fees in the region of between 30 and 40,000 and higher. Some students can't afford those fees, and that's understandable. It's a huge investment. So we have also to find partners within the European Union and to expand our network. So our first partner we work with is Charles University. Now, Charles University have different faculties around the Czech Republic. The faculty we work with is the Faculty of Medicine in Hradec, and it's about an hour's drive from Prague. The advantage and the strength of Charles is its recognition of a worldwide institution, and it has strong rankings out there, and you'll hear a lot about Charles. The quality of the program is excellent, and it's taught all through English. The distance between a European partner and, let's say, an Irish or US partner is the teaching methodology. It's very different in terms of learning activities. Really, you're doing continuous assessment on a weekly basis. A lot of it can be oral, some is written. And that's a very different way of learning. Some love, some not so much, but it does keep you on your feet. And that's one of the advantages of Charles. Main research areas they have, as you can see, they specialise in surgery, oncology, organ replacement, cardiovascular disease. Charles has a strong reputation. They also work extensively with the Mayo Clinic in the US, and students in year 1 and year 2 have the opportunity to work experience through the summer, and some students do take that opportunity if they can. Again, the advantage of Charles is that it does open job opportunities for you in the European Union. A lot of graduates do progress on to Germany, for example, so that in itself shows you the quality of the qualification. To progress from DIFC, normally students need to be passing the foundation as a benchmark, but Charles' first shortlisting process will be the entrance exam. It's a very tough exam. We do prepare you for the exam, and again, that's one of the advantages of the foundation. Extra classes are given to you during the foundation to prepare you for the exam. It is doable, but requires huge commitment. Lithuania is a partner we have then called Lithuania University of Health Science. We call them LSMU. When it comes to LSMU, they are a new partner. Lots of people question about rankings and they're not world ranked, but for us, we are not an institution who focuses on world rankings. We focus on the quality of the program and the opportunities the university offers you. So, for example, Lithuania will support any student who needs to have their qualification recognised by the medical council in their local country. They have a staff member who supports that. Again, the program is taught through English. The advantage of LSMU, which is in Kaunas, is the population. Small university, but huge population of students. Over 7,000. The students are from over 95 countries. As the qualification is internationally recognised. It's within the European Union. You can practice as a doctor. Graduates progress on to countries like Norway and Sweden. It's accredited and they've got international experts from top universities in Europe. Again, LSMU have partnerships with universities in Europe and within the US. And, you know, it's World Health, the qualification is approved and recognized by the World Health Organization. Again, looking at the program content is it's a very interactive program, but it's also integrated. There's a lot of research. Again, the university program from year 1 to year 3 is delivered at the university, but then in year 4 and 6 you go on to hospital. One of the advantages of Lithuania and as a university is they own their own hospital where you get to progress and train as a doctor. So an idea of that as an overview of an organisation when it comes to medical career is that you're working with over 1,200 academics who teach and work as doctors, but then you're also dealing with other residents in training, and that can be a very big number of over 1,000. The admissions process through the DIFC is a very straightforward process. We make the application with you. We contact Lithuania. LSM come over to visit us. They're actually coming over. They come over in February. They hold the entrance exam. We prepare you for the exam. If you secure the offer, then you're good to go. The only other part of the requirement with LSMU is that you must pass foundation. Debrecen, our third European partner, is based in Hungary. Debrecen, again, with a very strong ranking. If you're looking at ranking, it's seen as top 800. Again, the program is taught in English. The structure here is a bit different, that year 1 and year 2 is very much focused on teaching. You'll find that the teaching you have been taught in year 1, year 2, you apply into clinical placements from year 3 onwards. Again, final year thesis and a comprehensive exam. I guess when you look at Debrecen, again, in terms of assessment, it's continuous. It's tough. There's a lot of emphasis put on you on usually weekly, if not fortnightly exams. An interesting point about the final year of exams will be oral as well. Some of the exams are written, but also oral, where you're asked to present yourself to a board, and you can be asked any amount of questions on medical. And that shows you the quality of the program, but the toughness of the program as well. Again, internships are there for students who want to progress in a variety of areas in their final year, from surgery to gynecology, neurology to pediatrics. Again, all opportunities open to. And one of the advantages of Debrecen is that if you didn't do as well as you hoped in our entrance exam, which we offer here in Dublin for them, Debrecen probably will make you an offer for their basic medicine, which is not to confuse to foundation. Basic medicine is an extra year of medical studies. And some students take that as a bridging program to progress on to their final career to medicine or dentistry. So, as you can see, just giving you an overview in all of our partners, there's a lot to take place within the medical partners, and each partner has a specific application process. So all of those application processes then are managed through my office with my colleagues, both in terms of your tutor, but also the placement officer. And we have sessions with each of you to get your applications moving. So with that support, it allows you to focus on your study. You don't need to focus on how many applications I must make. The work is taken from you. And that is achieved by the fact that we have weekly tutorials with your tutor, usually 2 hourly weekly tutorial sessions where we will do application processes, talk to you about drafting personal statements, preparing your academic references and making the applications, which can vary depending on the partner. And for example, maybe one partner needs to interview you. Again, we hold a tutorial with you on how the interview skills needed for that. Maybe you need to sit an entrance exam. Extra classes then are tagged into that week or probably a month before the exam to prepare you. So I guess the message I want to get across is the pastoral care through the university placement support is huge. We continuously support you through the application process. And on top of that, I said, we also prepare you for the university entrance exams. So what would you say to do next between now and joining the foundation? Well, I guess the first thing we'd say to you is, think about what you want to do in terms of your career. I would say to students now, when I have you, that you should look at also the cost of your medical studies, because it's an expensive investment. And planning for that does take some time. But planning now is a good thing because it gives you other chances to plan in terms of looking at other aspects of the university application process. So one area we would ask all students to look at is look at work experience. If you're even applying to Europe and decided that's where you want to invest in your education, European partners see a benefit of having your work experience behind you. And what I say by work experience is that you're looking to shadow a medical professional in a local hospital or healthcare setting. And if you're looking at work experience and work shadowing, the idea of that is 2 weeks, okay? Normally 9 to 5, I'm afraid, for 2 weeks, but it's good experience to get. Most students can do that over the summer. If you can do that over the summer, that means you come to Dublin or Cork having that area finished. Other students will choose not to do work experience, but instead volunteer. But volunteering does require you to have 6 months volunteer work. Normally, possibly half day a week over 6 months. If you can, the work shadowing is easier because you can get it done more quickly. But equally, volunteering has a lot of the opportunities that you can help you become a better doctor too, because you're working in a community service, charity sector, and it gives you greater exposure to meeting with different people. Work shadowing, you're shadowing, so maybe you don't get the same exposure in terms of helping you improve yourself on what we call transferable skills, which is about what makes you good to be a doctor, be it interpersonal skills, communication, and time management, those aspects, while volunteering helps you improve those skills. The other point we would say to you in preparing to become a foundation student for the medical pathway is it's a good idea now to revise the subjects. So what are you like as a maths student? What's your chemistry knowledge like? What's your biology knowledge like? Perhaps you've come from a country where in the curriculum you haven't spent as much time on biology, or you finished it after 2 years of high school and then went on to do maybe chemistry, physics. Reflect on that. And if you feel you need to get more support, we will give that support to you, where we do allow students to access our online platform where you're able to pull down some support material to prepare for Dublin or Cork. So this is one of our students, Ali, and Ali has also progressed on to the Royal College of Surgeons. And, you know, you can see Ali found it wasn't just about growing his academic ability and his knowledge, but also grew him as a person. He grew better in terms of got to meet with different international students, greater exposure, and that's the foundation does. It does give you an exposure to maybe 20 other nationalities. And what we do find with the foundation is that, yes, it's a tough program, but you do actually make friends for life at the foundation as well. Some of you will progress on to the same university. Some of your friends will want other universities, but we do create a very good alumni. And we know from this year that all of our students who progressed onto medicine are all still in contact with each other, sharing the experiences, cross-checking, what are you doing in Dublin, to a student doing, what are they studying in Lithuania, to what is a student studying in Uclan. And that experience also helps you become a better doctor because you have to share your exposure.
Okay, so for the last few minutes, I'd like to welcome one of our past students, Farida. She graduated from the International Foundation Year Health Science program last year, and she's now in her first year of medicine studying at the Royal College of Surgeons here in Dublin. So welcome.
Thank you.
So before we start, I have a few questions for Farida, but if you have any questions you'd like to ask yourself, just pop them into the chat box and I'll see them and we can ask Farida at the end. So to get started, how do you feel the foundation year prepared you for university?
So basically the way that the course is designed gives you like a solid base of knowledge, like academic knowledge in the subjects of like maths, physics, biology, and chemistry. But other than that, what really helped me is mostly like the coursework, because the type of support we got there was how to like write academic articles and how to reference and how not to plagiarize. I had no idea what those things were back at school, and probably if I went straight from high school onto RCSI, I wouldn't have really known. And I see people struggling in RCSI with me that came straight from high school because they don't know how to do these things, and they're having to cope with that, plus they're studying. So the DIFC course really helps build that solid foundation.
Great. And what was the application process like for medicine?
So as Pork said, it's different for each university. So for RCSI, you have to send in your personal statement, which is basically information of you academically and non-academically. And you get a lot of help with that from the teachers here. Also for RCSI, there's the interview. You also get prepped for that. It's an online interview, so you can do it whenever you want. You can do it at home. You can do it wherever, whatever suits you. And after you're shortlisted, then you have to get the grades to get in. That's for RCSI, and it's quite similar for Uclan as well. For the European universities, you have to pass the entrance exam, and for some of them you have an interview, but not for all.
Okay. And what tips would you have for students to do before they start foundation?
So if you need the online support for some of your subjects before you start, then go ahead. But if you've done something like IGCSEs, I think, because before I started the DIFC, I had my IGCSEs as well as some ASs, and I felt like I had like a solid foundation. So academically, really not much. Mm-hmm. But as living in Dublin, so I'd say come to Dublin at least 1 week before you start the course. That is key, because I actually came 2 weeks late. It wasn't really something I could handle. It was like a problem with my visa. So I had a hard time knowing how to get around transport, getting from school to my house. It was a hassle. So try to get here a couple of days before, so you can get to know the place more.
And what do you like living in Dublin?
Dublin is quite a safe country. No country's 100% safe, but it's quite a safe country as long as you don't do something crazy like walking at night alone. But like Dublin is quite a merge between a big city like London and a small town. You get like the best of both worlds, really. People here are really, really kind as well. And the city is not too big, so you'll be able to get around. If you have a group of friends from the college as well, you guys can go and see how like the transport works, and you'll probably get to know the place in about 3 days, to be fair. Yeah.
And how have you found your first year studying medicine?
It was quite challenging at first, but I found that a lot of the knowledge that we took in the first 3 weeks, I took in the DIFC. So basically what I took in the whole of the DIFC for the entire year, I took in about 2 or 3 weeks in RCSI. So it's quite tough. You get a lot of lectures and you have to like stay on top of everything all the time. The class size is really big in RCSI, so that is definitely something you have to think about, because I struggled with that at first. You get used to it, but if you're not the type of person that likes to learn in an environment where there are a lot of people, you don't get like a chance to ask many questions. You can ask questions, but a lot of people feel shy because you're in a room of about 300 people, so you don't get that freedom. Whereas if you're in a smaller class size, you can. For me, it's not it's not much of an issue because I can just ask my professors in the tutorials. But if that's something that bothers you, then you definitely should think about it.
Mm-hmm. And I suppose I've asked you this, but what is studying at RCSI like? The whole kind of experience.
So the way the course is designed is that you take modules, as in you don't take all of anatomy all at once and then take all of physiology all at once. You kind of take body parts and you take everything about that part. So you're like, they form the links for you. You don't really have to do it yourself. I know a lot of universities, like medical universities, teach everything separately and you kind of have to link it at the end. With RCSI, it's not like that. So that's something I really, really like about it.
Okay. And what would you say your one top tip would be for students that are considering foundation? Just to put you on the spot.
Yeah. I'd say once you're into the course, don't take advantage of it. Yes, you're here partly for the experience, probably, because that was partly one of the reasons I wanted to come to Dublin. But don't take it for granted. You're here for a year, yes, but you can extend that to 6 years if you do well in the course. So do have fun and do enjoy your time, but still take advantage of this opportunity that you have, and do apply to as many universities as you can. I personally applied to all of the partner universities, and I find that it was a great experience seeing how each university tests the ability of each student. So try to get as many experiences as you can in this year. It's a great opportunity.
Okay, so no one online has asked any questions, so I think we'll finish up there. Thank you very much for joining us for the webinar. If you're in Dubai, we are actually holding an information session this Thursday evening from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. with a presentation at 7 p.m. and that's at the Bonington Hotel. If you want to register for that, you can just contact us at info@difc.ie or fill in our contact form on our website, and we'll get in touch with you with the registration details. So thank you very much, and we hope it was helpful.